Alright, good morning. Thank you for watching. I usually like to learn a little bit before I make a video, but it is what it is. I got a comment yesterday on yesterday's video. Why are we talking about AI? We should be curing cancer. And what I'm saying, first of all, I didn't really talk that much about AI in yesterday's video. I was more talking about mind-reading machines, which in a way are a little bit more scary than AI. And the reason I'm talking about AI is the same reason why I talk about Al-Qaeda or ISIS or Hamas or something like this. It's a danger, about communism, about all these other horrible things that exist in the world that are dangerous. And so the question, hold on, just had to pause there to blow my nose instead of blowing my nose in your face like I usually do. I had enough insight, which is awesome. So anyway, so why aren't we curing cancer? Why? And the answer is, I mean, somebody is making money from not curing cancer. And people are making money from treating cancer instead of curing cancer. That's the problem that we have. And the cancer rates are going up. And people are saying, yeah, look, the scientists, they're saying, look, people can, a lot more people might get cancer, but they're going to live longer lives because of the treatment. The thing is, I forgot to mention how expensive this treatment is. And when they find things that potentially could cure cancer, they tend to sweep them under the rug. So there is a lot to talk about there as far as curing cancer. Why aren't we curing cancer? Because there's someone in the powers that be that don't want to cure cancer. Now you're going to say, oh, it's those big greedy capitalists. Look, they're making so much money. But if capitalism operated in a free market, this is why we need the government to step in and help us cure cancer. I mean, that's assuming that the government is benevolent and beneficent, and common sense and world history has taught us that governments don't tend to be benevolent forces. They tend to be, corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Things like that. So, which is why I was excited to hear that, President Trump said it wasn't just, spreading from one regime to another, the power, but giving the power back to the people, and that's what we need. And that's why we see, President Trump, he approved experimental legislation for people who are dying of, the doctors have already said they're not going to survive anyway. So let them try all these different experimental drugs, and maybe one of them will work. And that type of thing. So these are the things to have in mind, be mindful of. yeah, there are things going on in the world like that. And there are the powers that be that. What's the point of all this overregulation? Well, so that those who are in power can enrich themselves. And, I mean, here we have a president who is the richest president we've ever had, and he's losing money being president. It's really a selfless deed for him to be the president. So these are the type of things to have in mind. So why talk about AI? Because it's happening. Because these are the things that the powers that be want. Particularly in countries like China, but even in countries like France and England, and certain people who would like to be in power in America, Democrats. They talk about this stuff because it's all about how to give themselves more power, how to take away power from people and stuff. So these are things, we should be aware of, and we can't just, close our eyes and say, oh, well, why aren't we curing cancer? We got to know what's going on. And Glenn Beck has been at the forefront of talking about this. So I'm not talking about AI as a glossy eye. Wow, look at what we can accomplish. No. This is dangerous. This is scary. And we got to figure out a way to be prepared for this. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment. And, what is the answer? I'll give you the answer that Rabbi Bart Sadok always gives. Because remember a few years ago, he was talking about a potential coming Holocaust. And then he's like, well, where should we go? Should we go to Israel? He said no. Now this Rabbi Bart Sadok is a religious Zionist, but meaning with the ideals of Mizrahi, not necessarily the idolatry of Mizrahi, because Mizrahi has ideals of, combining religion in the modern world, not retreating to a ghetto type of things, but Israel is essentially retreating to a ghetto, putting all our eggs in one basket. I understand it's the Holy Land. I understand there are mitzvahs that we can do there that we can't do anywhere else, but there's sins that we can do there that we can't do anywhere else either. And we gotta know, are we really ready for something like that? Like, I think it was someone asked for Mendel Rimanov, and he said, should I go to Eretz Yisrael? He said, well, Eretz Yisrael, if you see in Chazal, this is Ban Yir B'Yemechem, it's like the Besmedrash. Being in the Besmedrash is like being in Eretz Yisrael. So being in Eretz Yisrael is like being in Besmedrash. He said, if you can spend not 12 hours a day, not 18 hours a day, not 23 hours a day, not 23 and a half hours a day, but 24 hours a day in the Besmedrash, so then you're ready to go to Eretz Yisrael. But if you're going to go to Eretz Yisrael and not live the way you're supposed to live in Eretz Yisrael, it's much better you stay wherever you are. And then the Zionists say, well, look, that's what God is punishing us for not going to Israel, and that's why we gotta, that's why we had a Holocaust and this and that, and then they say, or then the ones who are not so religious, they say, if we had our own country, then we could defend ourselves, blah, blah, blah. No. I'm sorry, that's not Teredik. God punished us for sitting in Eretz Yisrael and said, better you go sin in Chutz La'aretz than sin in Eretz Yisrael, essentially. And not only that, but we didn't do our mission. Our mission to be a light unto the nations, which Eretz Yisrael was perfectly located. It was a central location between Europe and Africa and Asia. And the point was that everybody should be blessed with the Torah by passing through this place, and we weren't doing it. Either the first temple we were worshiping idols, and the second temple all we cared about was ourselves. The third temple's Rechavis. It's wide, expansive. It'll be the whole world. The whole world will be covered with the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the seas. It's short-sighted just to think about one little piece of land that's the size of New Jersey, which, yes, halacha, according to Jewish law, there are certain laws that apply there that don't apply elsewhere. That's what it means, the Holy Land. That's all it means. It doesn't mean something spooky or this or that. It means just simple, legalistic thing that here you could you tithe your produce, and everywhere else, I'm saying there you tithe your produce, and here and everywhere else you don't. You tithe your money everywhere else, but your produce, even that's probably not a biblical mandate. And that's it. You know, you could build a temple there and things like that. You can't build a temple somewhere else, even though they probably built one in Egypt at some point in history, you know. Whether it was a synagogue or a temple, that's a discussion. You know, these are the things that we have to be mindful of. And you know, so what did Rabbi Bart Tzadok say? And he said, and Israel's involved in this stuff too. Israel is working on making a Holocaust. So, I mean, there are other things out there. You know, where did the Holocaust come from? These were occult practitioners who made contact with beings that they should have never made contact with, and they asked for a sacrifice. They asked for some source of energy to feed them the blood of the innocent, the holy people. That's why Hitler invested money in killing Jews rather than the war effort, because he felt that was his war effort, was killing Jews, that the demons that he spoke to and that his people spoke to would help him if we kept them if he kept them fed with the blood of the innocent. That's what happened. So, you know, and in the end, it didn't work for him, because those things don't really have any independent power. But for a while, it was working for him, you know. So, I'm not going to discuss, you know, the issues of Hashgacha Pratis and you know, why didn't God step in earlier, and how this was somehow part of God's plan. This we can't talk about. This is none of our business. I mean, we can talk about it, but we're not going to get answers. I mean, this is something just much more. It's under the sun, you know. It's not. People make a mistake to put God in a category with others, with all the spiritual realms that God created, and God is well beyond all of that. But in his being beyond that, he's also involved intimately with every aspect of everything. So it's that balance. But again, this is what's going on today. AI. Why? Because the powers that be want to control us. They want to be able to to take the blood of the innocent and gain more power for themselves, whether that means in a literal sense or in a figurative sense. Because figuratively, we can talk about that, about what's going on in China with this mind-reading stuff, that, to increase productivity and make sure that, somebody's not sleeping on the job or whatever it is, or not. But it means that people can be prosecuted for thought crimes. It means, but then you combine that with AI, and then it's a cold, unfeeling, mechanical monster that's deciding who lives and who dies. It's scary. So it's not just as my dear viewer commentator said, oh, why aren't we spending money on cancer research? And this money that is being wasted that could be spent on cancer research instead is going to AI. It's much worse than that. It's much more nefarious than that. Now, again, this is in the realm of theory. None of this is proven fact, although certain aspects of it are. But you put 2 and 2 together, Agenda 21, and all these different things. It's really scary what could be. But again, so then what's the answer? And the answer is not going and running to Israel. The answer is, Rabbi Bar Tzadok says, Yoshev b'Seiser Elyon, b'Tzel Shaka Yislonon, Psalm 91, he who dwells in the hidden place of the Most High, in the shadow of the Almighty is he protected. Does that necessarily mean physically? I saw recently someone on Twitter say, well, you see, Christianity, and by extension, really, since that text comes from Judaism, it's an insult in Judaism, that these religions are false because, look, there are believers who are killed. I mean, martyrdom has always been part of both the synagogue and the church. So for anyone to imagine, I mean, that was the mistake of Acher, according to some opinions, was that he saw a man. His father told him, go up to the ladder, send away the mother bird, and take the egg. So he was fulfilling 2 biblical commandments, both of which explicitly say, so you should have a long life. And this kid, he went up the ladder, honoring his father, and fulfilling the commandment in Deuteronomy of sending away the mother bird. Those are, and then he fell and he died. And supposedly it was Acher. He said, well, where is this kid's Arichas Yomim? Where is his long life that the Bible promised him? And so he became a heretic, and the answer is, well, he has eternal life from that. It's not just, all right, so to live to be 150 years old on this earth, even to live to be 1,000 years old on this earth. It is what it is. God gives us a mission. Eventually we're going to max out, go on to the next level. But we got to make the most of what we got here, because here we can accomplish things that we can't there, but also we can damage things that we can't there. We got to find that balance gotta just have faith in God. It might mean that we'll get killed here, but we'll live there. It might mean that God has things for us to do here until eventually we go, oh, God will leave, and eventually we're all going to come back. So that's the answer that we have. I know it's not much of an answer, but that's what we can offer. So thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment. And again, if you're of a different religion, I'm not necessarily saying that you have to convert to my religion, which includes becoming Noahide. If your soul teaches you that that's what you got to do, I'm very supportive of it. Well, let's say you're Buddhist, you're Christian, you're Muslim, whatever it is. I'm not telling you gotta accept my parochial traditions and culture. I'm not an imperialist like that. I'm an imperialist in other ways, but not like that. I'm not really an imperialist at all. But I do think there are certain basic core values that we all have to embrace, and then there is this search for meaning that we all have to engage in. But there are different types of souls in the world. That's what the Kabbalists teach. There are souls from Atzilus, from Bria, from Yetzirah, from Asiya. That's how the Kabbalists explain it. There are different types of souls in the world. And people can change, though. People can, the ideal is that a person, even if he's born with a soul from Olam HaAsiya, he can keep growing and get up to Yetzirah and then Bria and then Atzilus. I know some people will say that's impossible. I disagree. And I base that on the Kabbalistic texts, that we gain aspects of soul in different parts of our liturgy. Now, I'm not saying that's the only way to do it. That's the Jewish way to do it. It's a Jewish way to do it. Even in Judaism, there's lots of different ways. And I know a lot of people are like, no, there's only one way. Especially Christians, they'll say, I'm the way and the life and the truth. I was like, that's what works for you. And I'm very supportive of that for you. And I understand the problems with saying that from Christianity. But on the other hand, Malachi says that from the rising of the sun to the setting thereof, great is my name among the nations, says the Lord of hosts. Everywhere where they are offering to me, it's a pure offering. It's not to say that within the legal framework that's acceptable. I was talking to someone about this. I was talking to a Christian about this yesterday. Indeed, within the legal framework of Judaism, I mean, I oversee at work the Native American services. Within the legal framework of Judaism, it would be absolutely prohibited for me as a Jew to participate in those things, as much as I can see similarities, I can see, and I can have respect, and even to a certain extent share certain aspects of these other faiths and dialogue with them. But there is a certain point where I'm saying, as a Jew, I cannot engage, I'm certainly curious about these things, and perhaps there are certain aspects of these things that are more aspects of wisdom and not necessarily aspects of worship, and perhaps the usage of different herbs have spiritual qualities, that it's not necessarily idolatrous to use these herbs for various things. That being said, and it's more or less a form of wisdom, and to be engaged in cleansing rituals and things. But the thing is, I have my cleansing ritual. I have the mikveh. I don't need to do a smudging. As much as, I miss the mikveh because my work schedule makes it very difficult for me to go to the mikveh every day, go to minyan every day. And so I miss those things. But that's how it is. So I gotta get to learning instead of talking. But I have my ways, and they have their ways, and we can discuss the similarities and the differences, and in dialogue, and be together. It's difficult. It's difficult because you learn lessons. There's certain things that are, I'm not going to talk about now. Certain things that are universal among all of us: humility, value of life. We have to learn how to, like Rabbi Nachman says, to be a baki b'halacha, to be an expert in law, which halacha is halicha, it's walking the path. Native Americans call it the Great Path. We call halacha. It's different, obviously, but what I'm saying, it's like halacha is a path. It's not set in stone. It moves. And that's what Ezekiel says. The living angels, the living beings, they ran back and forth. We gotta learn how to run back and forth with Soiva Shoiv. That's something else I was talking to someone about, but that being said, for them, they have to find their own with Soiva Shoiv, Alright, I babbled on long enough, but the truth of the matter is, our sages say when it comes to negative prophecies, they do not have to come true. And so these things have to be a wake-up call for us. Like our sages say that Haman did more when Achashverosh took off his ring and gave it to Haman. He did more than all the prophets. What does that mean exactly? It means that it's not good. It means that, sometimes the scary stuff wakes us up more than the beautiful stuff. We shouldn't need a Hitler. We should have enough with Isaiah. You understand what I'm saying? Meaning, Isaiah, in his beautiful words, in his comforting words, should inspire us to repent and return to God. And not Nebuchadnezzar, and not Haman. But when we don't, when we're like George on the couch in Seinfeld, and he says, God won't let me succeed and be successful, and the therapist said, I thought you don't believe in God. He said, well, I do for the bad things. No. That's how too many of us are. We need to learn how to walk with God when things are good. And see how good things are. Not look to see things as being bad. Be thankful for how good everything is. Be mindful about how good everything is. And put all of our hope and everything in God. And I think that's the lesson of these types of stories. The fear of the AI and the robots that can read your mind. That's what I said yesterday. It's there to teach us that there's a God who could also read our mind. And who do you want reading your mind? A robot or God? Obviously you want a God who loves you to be reading your mind. And he is anyway. And not a robot who might be anyway. And to teach that God, if a robot could have that power, of course God could have that power. To religious people that's obvious, but not to everybody else. There are certain things the religious people do have an advantage. And the difference between fear of some kind of robot taking over the world and the fear of God, which is not scary fear, but an awesome fear. Being in awe of the Almighty, how awesome God is. What an awesome God we have. And realizing that if these types of things could exist in the world, there's far more things in heaven and earth that are dreamt of in your philosophy ratio. Right? Dark Corner's review, he reviewed King Kong versus Godzilla. They're like, it's two guys in rubber suits fighting. It's not Shakespeare. And then like in the American version of King Kong versus Godzilla, it starts off with that line, and he's like, "Oh, I guess it is Shakespeare." So, like Rabbi Weinberg said, Shakespeare wasn't Shakespeare, but the Torah is the Torah. That's a lesson we gotta learn. Not to put down Shakespeare, but to lift up our Torah. And to lift up our God. And to show the world that our God is more powerful than any AI robots that can read your mind. And yet he loves us. He's not shooting us. He's not throwing down lightning bolts when we make a wrong turn or when we're a little lazy, because he made us and he loves us. Yeah, he's our boss, but he's also our dad. Yeah, he's our king, but he's also our father. And he's better than any father. He's better than any husband. More loving, more caring, not only more powerful, but he really, really cares about us. And when we bring that love into our lives, then we can be better fathers and better husbands, better wives and better mothers, better children, better brothers and sisters, better friends, better workers, better bosses. Because the light of God is there. Watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment, and don't be too scared. Just be scared enough to know that we don't have anyone else to trust in other than our Father in heaven, and He is our Father in heaven. He's not our dictator in heaven. He is our Father and our King. That means we're all princes and princesses. And I don't just mean Jews, I mean all of us, every human being. We are all the children of God. And we should conduct ourselves in a noble way because of that. But also recognize that love and recognize that all the things that God has taught us, it's not because He hates us, He wants to boss us around. It's because it's what's best for us and because He loves us. All right. God bless. Take care.